Weather assessment protocol and readiness for schools. To give you an overview of how the process works, what we do, and then the recovery from whatever the event is. I'll describe this. It's fairly small, but this is the flow chart. This says we start in about 3 a.m., but we're watching the weather all the time, and everyone else is always very helpful to inform us on what the weather is going to be as well. So around 3 a.m., we're starting, Mr. Thompson at Transportation and myself, we're starting with the state roads, the county roads, the sheriff, the state police. We're monitoring with Pax River, and we're starting to gather information from other counties as well. In the Tri-County, Charles Calvert, we also touch base in the recent years with King George because of the latitude that the storms come. So we're starting to gather at that time from what we haven't earlier. From around 3 a.m., we have 6 people that goes down on the roads, and they're driving the roads of the entire county. The people on the roads are able to send us pictures right into what's going on. Those 6 people that are on the road, depending on this process, could take place in the afternoon if we close or something. There are times that I'm on the road as well. There's times that Mr. Smith is on the road, and we're talking on phones as we're looking through that. So from that 3 to 4:30, that all is taking place. That information is coming in around 4:30. I'm gathering that from Mr. Thompson, myself. We're putting it all together. Around that 4:30 time frame, I am talking with Mr. Smith, and we're having a discussion, and information is still coming in at that time, and we're put on hold, and different things are taking place, understanding what other counties are doing, the weather, continuous. And in those discussions, as we get to the codes, there's an awful lot that takes place in that regarding the safety of our students, the operation of our buses, of our staff, all of that at that time of morning. But we also have a lot of things that we have to think about, and that's child care, because that is an important one to all of our parents, the child care. And a week like last week, where we were out for a holiday and out of school for 2 weeks, our free and reduced meal students, that was 3 days that there weren't meals. So all of those things, when we're closing, delayed opening, and everything, is taken into account as we do that. So once that decision's made, Mr. Smith is doing some electronic and social connecting, and he's also making sure that the board understands what's taking place. At that time, I'm contacting back to Transportation, Mr. Thompson, and then he starts with the Emergency Operations Center. He's contacting the radio stations, the TV stations, getting the word out. Mrs. Mancini from my office, I'm contacting her. She gets the phone call out, and she's the lovely voice that everyone hears at 5 o'clock in the morning. Then the website banner goes on, and Schools Out is notified. The next call that I'm making is back to Mr. Whidden, maintenance, operations, food service, and safety and security. And we're starting the recovery. If it's a 2-hour delay, Mr. Whitten will walk through this in a minute. If it's a 2-hour delay, we're talking about what needs to be salted, what contractors need to be there. We're talking to our operations staff to understand who needs to come in, at what time, for sidewalks, for checking the boilers and heating, frozen pipes occasionally. So we move into that at that point. What we have down here is this protocol works for many. The snow is the major one, but if it's a hurricane, tornadoes, we're using the same protocol pretty much. And the difference here, if we were having a true blizzard, more than likely the Emergency Operations Center would be open. And when the Emergency Operations Center is open, we have a phone, we have a desk there, we have somebody in there the whole time it's open. Most of the time, what's happening here is they're contacting me and working with the superintendent on what services we need. Usually at this point, our students and staff are not in school. If they are, we're already working on how to get them home. But now we're working on how we support the wider community with the shelters. We use our warehouse. We use our refrigeration units at times. We've housed the vaccinations at times because they had to be at a certain temperature and checked on every day and all. So we've done that with the health department. So there's a role we play in all of that. And in that event, that's what takes place. County, as I said, there's 6 people that normally go out every night, and they all have their vehicles home tonight. And we'll be talking at that 3 a.m. time period. So they all have routes to go, as you see here, and the individuals who we said are going out. And like Mr. Whidden going out, everyone that's going out is looking at our schools, our parking lots, but all the roads. As you can see, this is Joe Longobardi from Transportation. There's certain areas that we highlight that need make sure we go in and check the roads more in depth. We have little notes down there for them. If it's an event of a storm, of a hurricane or something, we know we put notes down here like to check for flood or high water in the roads, Mechanicsville Road, certain ones, as we go through that. So each one has areas that we've highlighted a little bit more, and they may be added to their next year map or route based on driver or even community input into those areas we need to go to. Mr. Varner has one that has a lot of little circles because these are all out along the water and the temperatures and different things there to look at as well. The other thing about our county that I didn't really touch base on when it was in the first view is that it's somewhat long. It extends out into the bay, and our temperatures and our precipitation from one end of our county to the other can vary drastically. We can have rain and we can have a couple inches of snow in the other end, and we will get calls of why did we cancel school? It just rained and we have snow in the other end of the county. So there's a lot of variances there as well. Steve's route that he runs and reports in on. And when we show that line around, those are where they're traveling, but there are certain roads that they'll check out as well. These are more intense areas that we know over time, tighter roads, turnaround for our buses and all. Mr. Hardwick takes the far south one, and we tried to pick these in the areas where they live to try to help make that. So once we have all that information and we're going to make the codes, you know, either a 2-hour delay for school opening, 10 and 11-month employees, and a 2-hour delay for our 12-month employees as well. Schools closed, 10 and 11-month employees, but 12-month employees report to work up to 2 hours late. And so this 2 hours isn't intended to wake up, oh, I don't have to be in for 2 more hours, have another cup of coffee and things. That's 2 hours to help to get to work on time and come into work. So that's why it's up to. Some of these other critical times is we feel that at 9:20 our schools, on a 2-hour delay, our schools are opening, so our staff should be in by that time when our schools are opening, our 12-month. Code 3, schools and offices are closed. At that time, designated maintenance and emergency personnel, we have a phone out tree and a method for contacting them to let them know when we want them to report. The other codes, schools close for 10 and 11-month, but our 12-month employees report to work on time. We also saw Code 5 where we had a 2-hour delay and our 12-month come in. And most of the times when we're looking at these, it's those early morning routes. Snow's been piled up in intersections and at bus stops, and we want to try to get the light there so that it's safer for our students and our bus drivers and when we're moving around. So that's sort of the codes of where we went through. Mr. Whidden's going to walk through part of the recovery mode in that. So.
Okay, very much, sir. Recovery of school operations. This PowerPoint primarily addresses snow removal, but we follow a similar actions for other recoveries, Sandy, hurricanes, or some that come to mind. So the initial contract for snow removal that we use right now was issued on December 8, 2010, and the first year was for snow removal services. It was a 4-year contract, 1-year contract with 4 optional renewals. The last year of the contract, we are currently in it. It is December 2014 and expires November 30, 2015. Under basically the way the contract is structured in 2 action plans. It's under 3 inches and above 3 inches. So under 3 inches of snow accumulation, we do plowing and removal of just parking lots through the contract vehicle, or vehicle plow, through the contract itself. Above 3 inches, the contractor does plowing, removal, and sidewalks. I would like to make the distinction. I say plowing and removal. Plowing a road or a street is one thing. You're pushing the snow typically about twice the length of the blade, and it falls off the end at the same rate it comes in. In bus parking lots and school parking, large parking lots, you, if you're lucky with the type of snow you have, you can actually push it all the way across the distance and pile it up. Most of the time, it's backloaders. You're actually removing it, picking it up, taking it over, setting it down, coming back and getting more. So there's quite a difference between plowing and removal. 3 contractors were awarded the snow removal contract. Dirtworks Incorporated, Larry Hills and Son Excavating Incorporated, Bowles Enterprises, and then they were split up into 3 different areas based on the amount of equipment and the availability they had. And you can see each school listed. Basically, Area 1, you'll see Area 1 here. See if I can get it. Area 2 here. This is basically the north end of the county. St. Andrew's Church Road, basically. Leonardtown Complex is included. North and then south. So that's Area 1, Area 2. And then you can see how each Bowles and Larry Hills basically share the north of the county. And Dirtworks has the south of the county. And then the overview of the removal process. The contractors are contacted at 2, 3 in the morning because usually at that point, it depends on the snow and the time. There's so many variables. But say it starts snowing at midnight, they're contacting it and they're working for the state or they're working for the county government plowing snow. And we'll get their input on what's going on the roads, as well as us driving the roads at night. I can use some of that information to feed through to Mr. Clemens if pertinent. Snow removal typically starts about 1.5 hours after the snowfall has stopped. State roads and highways contract with the same vendors as we use. Typically, the contractors begin snow removal operations within an hour of being contacted, but as they're released from their responsibilities with the state and the local government, they bring their equipment to bear on ours. And this has been the way it has been for years. And the logic behind it is the school parking lots can't or are useless unless the state roads are cleared, and the county roads are basically useless until they all follow one another. So this has always made sense. And it has worked relatively well. This is dependent upon the type of snow, the depths of the snow, the outside air temperature, expected temperatures when school is going to be letting in, and the arrival of the storm and how it comes in. Some storms come in ice and sleet, then snowpack on top. Makes for a very slippery removal process. To get salt down to the ice at the bottom, I've had 6-yard loaders slipping on ice and doing donuts in some conditions. All the decisions are made around, with snow removal, around getting it done effectively and efficiently as possible. We run into things all the time that we don't expect. And we do have areas in the county, the school parking lots that we know need special treatment. Greenville Knolls, right in front of the building, there is no sun in that parking lot for about 10 foot out any time of the year, it seems. We have by the ROTC trail at Great Mills, and there's Letty Marshall Dent with all the trees, and I'm sorry? Margaret Brent. And then the popular sleighing Park Hall. That hill gets packed down so much from people going back there to sleigh, which it's a great time. But no matter what we do before or after to that, it's always a challenge to keep ice from developing. With snow, sometimes and most always comes low temperatures. I would like to, in providing this information, let you know that we do have cold water protocols for our buildings and how we operate our buildings. When we get, there's 2 steps basically. This kind of jumps in the middle, assuming someone knows how we typically operate our buildings. We typically operate our buildings for anywhere from 1.5 hours to 2 hours before students arrive. And then once students leave, we go into a reduced operation until the building service workers and after-school activities end. And then the building goes into basically a hibernation mode. The boilers shut down, pumps shut off. The boilers, heating units do keep warm, but they don't circulate through the building anymore. When we get below 12 degrees Fahrenheit or 27 degrees for more than 2 days, we go into an expanded operations where we ask the building service workers to walk around and look for frozen pipes. Basically, one of the best telltales is sinks don't work anymore. At that point, we can save it and prevent a rupture, because if you thaw it out correctly, you don't have to worry about the rupture. And we operate our heating pumps and our associated boilers and hot water converters at the schools. We're remain in operation 24 hours a day. And although it's a minor adjustment, my pointer is dying. Apologize, thank you. Although it's a minor adjustment from 50 to 52 degrees, this causes our air systems in our building to react drastically differently. 2 degrees is quite a bit on unoccupied set points. Unoccupied temperatures, what that means is even at night when we leave them in a hibernation mode, if the temperature within the building drops below 50 degrees, it'll bring on the air systems and everything automatically to keep the building at a temperature or level which is within reach in an hour and a half of startup. So we can, every morning we can come in an hour and a half startup, we should be able to get it up to temperature. So that's what that's about. And then our facilities operator monitors the school sites daily, and every 6 to 9 hours, that's 24 hours a day. He can do that from work on the weekends or holidays from his home. He can port in, and we can see all our buildings electronically. I don't remember, there's over 10,000 points that we can look at, or sensor readings that we can look at remotely. When the second level is when it gets below 8 degrees, and when it gets below 19 for more than 2 days straight, and we have hit this quite a few times. In this mode, basically we go into a full same thing applies to the building service workers, look for frozen pipes, make sure the faucets run. We run 24 hours a day and with set points at 68 to 70 degrees. The only modification to how we would operate in this instance and when the students are in session during the day is we shut off exhaust fans and we shut off the intake of outside air. Our facilities, and then he has to check them every 3 to 6 hours. The past 2 weekends, with the temperatures we've had, I could probably estimate we have heating and cooling coils. We probably have well over 800 coils. This past 2 weekends, we've only lost 3. So we've done very well with this procedure. So this has worked for us. I often do get the question, what are our buildings generally designed for? We're at a 92 or 96% design. And what that means is our schools can handle 92 to 96% of the days we will experience. Generally speaking, if we get below 19 degrees or above 96 degrees at 60% relative humidity, we're what we call out of design. And the farther we get from those broaches, the harder it is to keep the internal temperatures where they are. No matter how hard we run the boilers and how efficient the air handlers, it just doesn't after that point. But we would have to get below 0 and really windy not to be able to keep it above 65 degrees. Here you go, sir. Thank you.
And just to finish up where Steve was, he went through all that technical. It's critical. This past week or so, Mrs. Howell takes care of the energy part and the fuel oil for the heating. And we have buildings that are using anywhere from 400 to 600 gallons a day. And keeping up with when we've gone to that mode. So managing the buildings the way Mr. Whidden is critical to the funding and all this time of year. And then just to wrap up, I started out with some of that emergency management, how all the departments are integrated part that once our students and our staff is safe, then that recovery of no matter what the event is. And just in closing, we play a very big role in the Calvex, Calvert Cliffs nuclear drill, and we've taken that drill and really used it not just for their benefit, but to use it for ours so that we can respond to any of these events and all. So